Morning. Let's try something a little bit different today. Talk about producing fiction that people can actually find and read. So, yesterday I was running down that ye old Twitter feed, and a young woman had posted her writing success thread, and it was kind of a kick in the teeth because she said that she had spent 12 months. She had produced a 165,000 word manuscript, and she has 404 pages of draft. And the first thing that popped into my head was, God, I hope this sells for her. Obviously, I didn't say anything of that sort because that would just be rude and jaded. So, we're at a red light, so I look like I'm an alien. That's cool. But that got me thinking about what I need to do to make sure that fiction gets produced and sold. Brain fuel. Give me a second. It is before 6 a.m. I didn't sleep worth a wink last night because I was thinking about this all damn night. So, if we understand that 20% of our activities produce 80% of our results, we'll reach out into our memory and remember all those times we've heard people like Alex Ramosi and those others, and he's awesome, by the way, so listen to everything he says because he's got like 9 figures in the bank account and he proves it. So there's proof of success right there. Only listen to people who've been successful. But one of his things is focus on the 20% to make you the 80%. And the more 20% you can put into play, the better off you're going to be. So we know that if we're going to produce our work, it's going to be the work that produces the money. Well, in order for your work to get found, and part of the reason I got that sinking feeling when I saw the young woman's post about her manuscript getting finished was there's so much other stuff that you have to do between that year's worth of work and when you're finished, when you actually get the first dollar show up in your bank account. You can spend that year, as I have many times. You can finish your manuscript, you can edit it, you can pay to have a fantastic piece of artwork created to wrap it in. And then you push send or publish. It goes off into the world and nothing. Absolutely nothing. There are coins underneath my brain fuel. Excuse me, driving is a full contact sport in Houston. So, immediately my fear for this young woman who had finished her manuscript was that she's going to do all this work, she's going to be super proud of herself, she's going to be on that emotional high, and then she's going to suffer the gut punch of editing, which is soul killing, because I think it was Hemingway, you got to kill your darlings. Then you turn around, you do all that work, you learn how to publish, you publish your damn book, and you get nothing. A year's worth of work, and you get nothing. So, there's a bunch of stuff that got to go in there in order for you to be successful. It's not just sitting down and scribbling. And I've been obsessing about this since I saw that post in the late afternoon. thinking about all the things I got to get taken care of before it even begin to produce the content that we need to get things done. Okay, fine. So the traffic that we put in to Amazon that might end up buying our book, who owns it? I sure don't. I can't touch one of those people who buys that book unless they sign up to an email list. That means I got to produce an email list. That means I got to create a following somewhere, somehow, some way. There has to be people, there has to be eyes to know about your book. Because if you don't, you're going to push send after that year of work, after that year of editing, after that year of anxiety and hope and dreams and fears, and nothing's going to happen. It's not even going to make a rattle falling down the memory hole. And it's going to be, and it's the worst gut punch in the world. Believe me, I've done it like 3 times, 4 times. Until I realized that I if I'm going to publish something just for publishing's sake, I need to have a purpose for it. Well, the fiction is what I enjoy creating. So if I'm going to continue to enjoy my fiction creation, and I'm going to continue publishing my fiction, how best to put that into place would be to have it out there and available for people to read. So what's the point of telling a story that nobody's going to hear? I might as well be talking to myself in the bathroom. So I'll get into how I produce content later. But for this, I think that I'm kind of, the problem I'm suffering right now is building the foundation. Here's another Alex Ramosism. But if you're going to build something big, you can't just start stacking your blogs. And I see if I can butcher this at 6:06 in the morning. If you want to build, most people only throw out their foundation a few inches wide, and then they turn around and start stacking stuff on top of it and wonder why it falls over, because they don't have a base to build on. And the whole crux of the success that you need to build is how deep your foundation goes. It's that whole joke, I'm an overnight success, it only took 20 years of work to get here kind of thing. And we all know it. If you've spent your time suffering through it, you've known that there's no such thing as an overnight success. It just appears that way to the people who've been sitting on the goddamn couch. So, one of the recent Alex Mosi videos I watched was you have to build your base. You have to build your base. Your foundation has to be a mile wide if you want to build a mile high. And that makes entirely too much sense to not listen to. Besides, the guy's got $900 million, or whatever the hell it is. So, $400 million. So, he's obviously doing something righter than I'm doing. So, if I'm going to build that base, that means all those additional things, pieces and parts, are going to have to get done. So, I have to build that website. I have to build that email list of people who might possibly someday be interested in anything that gets hit on the publish button. We're coming to the end of this because I'm exiting to go and choke people. Uh-oh, somebody's life exploded on the side of the road. So you need your website, you need your email list, you need to get people who are interested in your kind of work. You need to build your tribe. It doesn't matter who the hell you are, because I've been there. I've had that bestseller, and because I'm a dum-dum head, I didn't produce the email list, I didn't produce the website, I didn't produce anything like that. And all the science fiction fans that I had on my list, in my group of friends, they went out bought my book. They loved it. I got like 5 stars or whatever, 4.5 stars, whatever it was. Like 4.7 stars for most of them. I think the worst review was some guy who reviewed the wrong damn book. Like, and I don't have that many reviews, but I was an Amazon bestseller in the top 20 with 2 freaking books as a new author. And I held that position for like 3 months. So now I've touched that brass ring of success. And then life got in the way. I didn't follow up the books. I didn't advertise them like a dumb head. And then October comes around. Haha, it's October again. October comes around for Amazon's sales, and then all of a sudden everything falls off the radar because all the big publishers are throwing all their advertising promotion. You know, organic traffic kind of dried up, and since I had no traffic going to my work, basically what happened was the audience got reduced, and this was 2011, so it's been a minute. So because the audience, the traffic to the work went away, I lost my footing. And basically the books went from bestsellers 1 month to nothing. Absolutely nothing. Black Rifle, brain fuel. Give me a second. And that's a tough pill to swallow, because things are much more expensive right now for reasons. And I think I'm the first one here. So a lot of things got to get put into place in order to be successful anymore. And if you don't have those folks who are actually interested in your work, when Miss New Author pushes publish, she can make it for a surprise, and that's an ugly place to be. That's a rude awakening right there. And like I said, it's had me obsessing over it all damn night. So sucks to be an OCD person like me. So here we are. I beat all over here. So if we're going to go and we're going to make ourselves something that lasts, we can't just write, edit, and push publish, because 999 times out of 1,000, it's just going to drop in to the freaking memory hole of Amazon and disappear. You're going to get 30 days of support from Amazon where you're showing up on other people's feed as a new release. If you don't have your audience in place by then for your book, it's going to disappear. And that hurts. That's painful. That is a kick in the face. You do not want to suffer that. It's humiliating. Just think the scenario through. You've told every single person that you know, all your friends, yeah, I'm writing my book. And then you turn around, you push send after a year, and they're like, what happened? And you're like, do. Not embarrassing or nothing like that. Not soul killing or anything like that. So, if you want to publish and you want to get your fiction done and out there, it's not just a one and done. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that turns into those 20% things. And you got to get those done, because the content production itself can move really fast. And I think I'll talk about that tomorrow. It's Friday, so the last day of the week. And then Saturday practice. So if you're going to push publish in your content, by the time that you're done, and of course I'm starting to get that stuffy nose crap, so sorry. If you're going to push publish in your content, you're going to have a lot of things you're going to have to do. It's not just, yay, I finished my book. No, you haven't. I got to edit it. And then you got to make sure that you've got people who find it. And there's all kind of tips and tricks and shit like that. But fundamentally, for every person that you have in your friend group, for every person that you can put into your work's orbit from your own list, from your own foundation, that mile-wide Alex Hormozy, before you go a mile-high foundation, the more people you can pass through Amazon, through your own work, the better off you're going to be. Because I didn't spend too much time looking at the young lady's online stats. It was one of those deals, like she kind of popped up in my feed because she hit some of my hashtags and some of my search parameters, and Twitter's doing a good job of presenting interesting stuff. It's not overwhelming with ads like some other platforms. So there's a lot of stuff's going to have to happen in order to get yourself found. And if you can pass 10 people into your book every day, 300 people in a month, just for easy math, 10 people a day, Amazon will typically put at minimum 5 times that number into your book. So let's get our fingers and toes out. If we have 10 people a day from our own list, from our own group, from our own tribe, from our own targeted market that's gone through the emotional hassle of finding our website, going through our website, reading our crap on our website, turning around, taking that next step, clicking that button, and all that emotional hassle, you're probably going to have a much higher close rate just for copywriting and sales and all that kind of stuff. So you take that close rate, you now have a dedicated person who's gone through that all those steps. Basically, the more steps somebody goes through on the close, the more emotionally they're committed to finishing it. That's just normal standard stuff. Look how pretty I am in the morning as Oliver turned on the lights. So the more people you pass through Amazon, the more people Amazon's going to replicate, because Amazon's going to begin to understand what your audience looks like. Somebody who's taken the time to go through your infrastructure, whatever it is, social media, website, email list, whatever, the more people pass through your orbit, and this is that 20% thing that produces 80%, 90% of your results. The more people you pass through your orbit who are dedicated fans of your work, the better off you're going to do, because Amazon's going to be able to take that clean, coherent, dedicated audience, and it's going to know how to sell more because it's Amazon, and they damn near know everything about the consumers on their platform. So Amazon's going to display your work as long as visitors and customers are passing through your stuff and dropping onto your work. And as long as those folks are buying it and interacting with it and doing well with it, it's going to continue to get displayed. And Amazon's going to boost your work for you. So there's your 90% of your success right there. And if you don't have that piece in place, all that manuscript production that you've suffered for the last year, that shit turns into that 80% that makes you nothing. And that's a tough pill to swallow. Because when you've spent a year on something, publishing and producing 165,000 words, that is a tough tough, humiliating pill to swallow if that doesn't sell. And I'm talking about high content fiction writing. Is what this young woman did. That's what I would prefer to do. I do produce other books. I produce other books because they're important for pieces and parts of the puzzle. Of course, I'm getting a stuffed up nose because I'm warming up or whatever, but yeah, there's a lot more to it. You can't just produce your work and then press send. You're gonna get beat up if you try that. I've been down that road. It's not somewhere you want to be. So yeah, if you're, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna choke people and roll around and get beat up and put 5 pounds of other people's sweat into my gi, and then I'm gonna wonder why wonder why everything else has been choked out and put into perspective. It's because I'm gonna have 190-pound dudes with murder in their eyes at 6:19 in the morning. But yeah, success is going to be, I'm going to have to dedicate the pieces and parts, dedicate myself to putting the pieces and parts into things that are going to be successful. And I know what that is because I've been there before. And unfortunately, it's not the production of the manuscript. I had somebody else ask me about what fiction are you writing now? And I responded to that, another young woman who's producing her stuff. I think she does like fantasy horror, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I seem to get much better engagement on Twitter than anywhere else. I added like 37 followers yesterday, which is like a personal best all-time record kind of shit, which is kind of really cool. Never even seen that in anything before, but her question was like, what are you writing now? And I gave a basic synopsis of the pieces and parts that I was playing with. And she asked about how it was going. And she's like, wow, that was awesome. How's it going? And basically it was like 3 days, 16,500 words later. And that kind of puts things into perspective. You know, I think I've produced 27 books with a back end of well over 3.5 million words of stuff that I've written that is never going to see the light of day because it just sucks. It's fucking horrible. So we'll see. Like every once in a while, I'll get a wild hair come my way, and I'll pull something out of the dead records file and try to reopen that cold case. It never works out right. Like the old drafts are so terrible. Like it's basically you just scrap it and start over again. But the only way to get good is to do it. And then once you've done it, you have to keep pressing publish. You have to keep going out there publishing. But in order to do that, you need to have your infrastructure in place. Because you gotta build your foundation. If you wanna do that mile high, you gotta go a mile wide. I'm suffering that mile wide. I can produce fiction all frickin' day. That's easy. All I gotta do is clear my mind and come up with a decent outline and go. The trick to being successful, that 80-20 trick to actually finishing and actually publishing stuff is you gotta have your foundation in place. So I think I'm gonna call this a day. Just trying something new. We'll see how this goes. I think I'll probably keep this more live and use this time in the morning to chatter about the things that are on my mind. And we'll see how this all works out in the future. Uh-oh, more killers arriving. Time to get out. Talk to you later, world.